Hey everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to make this card using our Fresh Cut Daisies coordinating outline set. I started off by embossing the entire sheet of stamps using our rose gold embossing powder. When you have a lot of images in one set that you plan on using in a project, you can just stamp them while they're right on the acetate. You don't have to transfer the stamps to an acrylic block. For my embossing today, for this first round of embossing, I did not emboss the mason jar and that burlap cover, but I did emboss the jar later on because I am using it as a vase for this project. So after I finish embossing, I'm going to start watercoloring all of my daisies using colorburst powders. For my daisy florals, I'm using a combination of marigold and gamboge colorburst, and I'm going to color in layers. I'm starting off with a light layer of marigold, then I slowly add the gamboge, and then I add another dark layer of marigold to the center portions of my petals. And then I add alizarin crimson and I think it's burnt umber right in the center of the daisy. And I'm going to color in all the daisies this way. However, prior to putting any pigment down on the paper, I did wet the paper with clean water before, and this will help me get a better blend. For the leaves, I'm using a combination of sap green, lime green, and terre verte. When I finish painting, I set my panel to dry completely, and then I die cut all of the colored images using their coordinating dies. It was at this time that I realized that I needed my jar as a vase. So I stamped the jar, stamped 3 stems inside the jar, rose gold embossed everything, and then I watercolored using our ultramarine blue and the same green hues that I used on the leaves. Next, I'm going to create a background wash using a combination of Prussian and indigo color bursts. And then I also added a little black towards the bottom, and this is basically the shadow that's going to ground my vase. I go back and rework some of the wash areas. I added a little bit more Prussian blue and indigo to give a nice stark contrast between that wash and the rest of the paper. I wanted a nice dark area for my florals to rest upon. Once I finished painting my wash, I dried it with the heat tool, and then I splattered some clean water, and then I dabbed up the water drops to give it a more textured look. And then I added additional white acrylic paint splatters to give a little bit more texture to my entire project. Then I adhered my watercolor panel onto a side folding base using our super strong adhesive that I usually use when I use watercolor paper. Now I'm going to start assembling my card. I use a combination of liquid adhesive and pop-up dimensional dots. Next, I use the sentiment from our Most Interesting Card Maker 2.0 set. I stamped it in Hampton white pigment ink onto black cardstock. And lastly, I embellished my card using our clear dewdrops. My card is now complete. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you'll head on over to the blog to hop along our mini hops to celebrate our 3rd anniversary.